Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. I am joined today by a special guest. I've got no David Hughes this week, so the resurgent Kristian Walsh. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, thank you. A bit disappointed in David, slacking over the Christmas break.
Well, to be fair, he came in on Christmas Eve on his day off, so it can't be asking for much more than that. Like.
No, you've been there for both though.
Yeah, well, dedication, mate.
Christmas doesn't stop you.
No. Speaking of Christmas, did you have a good one?
It was good, mate. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. A little bit too many celebrations, as in the chocolates. Other miniature chocolates are available. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to hitting the gym in 2020 and sweating off all those pigs in blankets.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we certainly could enjoy was the Reds. 2 wins over the course of the Christmas period. Leicester and Wolves, which we're going to address. And we're going to look ahead to Sheffield United. Maybe touch upon the derby, but there's something about the domestic cups nowadays. You don't feel... It feels like from the perspective of people high up in the club, Klopp, FSG, it just feels as though they don't matter. I don't know.
Me and you were playing up front in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got an opportunity there.
Exactly, yeah. But we'll get into it anyway. We'll go for Leicester first. And I mean, what can you say? For me, it was one of the best Liverpool performances I've seen, I think.
I was at the King Power, and you knew when you were watching it live that it was something special was unfolding from minute one. You know, you've got the Trent shot, you've got the Mane miss, you've got Salah where he blazes over, and within 5 minutes it could have been 3-0. Yeah,
it was really from minute one, wasn't it? It was straight away. I think we had something like 2 or 3 shots inside the first 5 minutes, and you could tell we meant business. I've spoken on this podcast before, and I wrote a piece about it that I think Liverpool almost have like gears, whereby like we do enough based on whatever we're presented with, sort of thing. And it felt like we looked at this as this is a big one, so we turned up with like gear 4, gear 5.
Bit like the Man City home game.
Yeah, but Leicester maybe Leicester deserved a lower gear or something, because we really did dominate from start to finish. We had predictions last week, me and Dave's got this thing, he doesn't want to go down the Mark Lawrenson route. So we predicted a 1-1 draw, I think, but I just had this feeling that we would really demolish them. I don't know why. I just think we're a nightmare for this Leicester team, and I predicted 3-1. Obviously it went down a 4-0 route, but I think it definitely followed the dominant path, whereby we were just in control for the whole period of the match.
I think people were expecting a much harder game because of the narrative that was surrounding the first game, where James Milner's penalty. I wouldn't say it was a fortuitous penalty award. It was a penalty. VAR was spot on there. But because it came in the last moments of the game, I think people viewed it as a lucky win, when in reality Liverpool dominated Leicester pretty much from start to finish in that game. I know David's spoken about it on the podcast before, about that game, and how it felt like Leicester were always in with a shout, despite. Yeah. But I don't know what he means by that, because it was very tense in the ground as well. But I think ultimately, if you look at how Liverpool dominated Leicester Leicester at Anfield in September, October, I think it was. This was always not a likely scenario, but it shouldn't have been written off, because even though it's at the King Power, it was something that Liverpool could definitely deal with. We know Leicester have been overperforming quite heavily, both in front of goal and at the back, and it sort of started to regress the mean a little bit when they lost to Manchester City. I mean, it didn't really matter against Liverpool because they had 2 shots in the entire game, but it's ultimately, they are a very good team. They're not as good as maybe the table suggests, and Liverpool are ultimately that much better than them.
Yeah, I think facing the likes of Liverpool on the game and Man City, they do seriously impact the numbers of teams just on their own. Single-handedly, matches against Liverpool and Man City have a big dent on your numbers. So to face Liverpool and City back to front is going to give Leicester a real hit. I think in the first game at Anfield, I think if anything was fortuitous, it was their goal, because they scored from their first shot of the match. I think it's 70th minute or so. And I think, since I've got into the whole analytics thing, I think I've almost learned what to value during the match and what not to value, sort of thing. And although Leicester did have territory, let's say, they entered our final third quite frequently, they didn't produce them moments.
It was sterile.
No end product, no shots, the actual things that will get you goals. It just didn't come. So I didn't expect this to be that different. I did think they'd put up a bit more of a fight than he did at Anfield, but it ended up going the opposite way. I mean, a little bit on the numbers. It was Liverpool's highest XG of the season in the Premier League. We were expected to score 3.2 goals, and it was our lowest expected goals against in the Premier League, 0.1 against, and I think that was a total of 3 shots. In 2 matches against Leicester, Liverpool have amassed a total of 33 shots in 2 matches. Leicester, a total of 5. 3 of those from outside the box. So it really is dominance. When we talk about on this show about the whole concept of dominance, whereby you take plenty of shots and you prevent the other team from taking any if you can. This epitomised that, really, didn't it?
I think what it was as well. You talk about the XG there in both games and the low amounts of shots. I think a team like Leicester, and this is to their benefit a lot of the time, not to the detriment, but Rodgers has got them really well coached. It really struck me, actually, just going off on a tangent, watching the Old Firm game yesterday and watching Celtic now compared to Celtic under Rodgers, and they're pretty much the same team, but you can tell that they're just not as well coached. He's a good coach, Brendan Rodgers. You can tell that he's a far better coach than Neil Lennon, and that showed in the performances of Celtic the last couple of times I've watched them. In that sort of game, but they're almost too well coached sometimes, and I think when Liverpool come up against a team like that, it's almost like the game plan's really easy to telegraph. So basically what Leicester have been doing all season is providing Jamie Vardy with chances. And okay, he's been very good at putting them away, but they have been creating some high quality chances for him, and his conversion rate through the roof. What that means is always that Liverpool can prepare for that. And from the second Liverpool were on the plane coming back from Qatar, I'm absolutely certain that they would have been having a plan to snuff out Jamie Vardy. And it worked to perfection. They didn't get a single opportunity. And sometimes Liverpool might struggle against a team which maybe isn't as well coached. I mean, they dealt with them perfectly recently, but, like a Burnley, where we've said variance is the key, really. When you're coming up against a side that is so well coached, you can guess how you're going to combat
see their
that.
Patterns, can't you?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why ultimately Vardy didn't have a sniff. Ultimately, the Tielemans and we'll talk about Maddison in a bit, and the change which I found baffling. But Tielemans and Maddison didn't really get an opportunity, and the fullbacks were very much quiet as well. So that it played into Liverpool's hands, the fact that Rodgers is actually a good coach and he has a very distinct style of play.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're spot on there. I think what Rodgers is trying to do over there, he's trying to build his own game, sort of thing. Give Leicester an identity so that when they go onto the pitch, they can play their own game, sort of thing. That's why they've been so good when they've come up against 10 men this season, because 10 men above any other footballing situation gives you the platform to say, okay, go and do exactly your utopia of football.
Impose yourself,
yeah. But the problem is, coming up against Liverpool, so defensively good, just everything's ingrained in every single player, just the intricacies, and Salah, Firmino, Mane up front as a front three are able to single-handedly defend about 6 players just by cutting off passing angles and certain things like that.
It's why Liverpool do so well against Man City. Now, the difference with Man City is that they have unbelievable players individually. Above players, and Leicester have got really good individual players, but they're not as good as Liverpool's. Yeah,
exactly. And I think specifically as well, City's central midfielders in particular, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandinho, David Silva, usually they're obviously high quality technical ability and awareness of what's going on around them and things like that. So you can it's trickier to make those players panic in comparison to maybe a James Maddison who's learning the game, and Ndidi who's strictly a defensive player most often. Tillemans again, 22 years old is he or something like that. So I think it was an admirable performance. Sorry, what Leicester's doing is admirable because they're going down the right path, but they're still firmly at the start of it. And to come up against this Liverpool team, it's going to be difficult to play your own game on your own terms against this Liverpool team. It's going to be tricky, and you're not going to be able to play through as easily as you want. But you mentioned there, we will touch on their formation briefly. I said last week I had a feeling that they'd maybe play a diamond. The whole split strikers thing that Rodgers likes, and I thought that'd be his ploy of presenting a problem to Liverpool behind our fullbacks. Obviously we use fullbacks a lot to go forward, and I thought he'd maybe put Vardy and Iheanacho behind Trent and Robertson. He didn't do that. He went down the 4-1-4-1 route, but Maddison on the left.
You raised this earlier in the season, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. He did it early in the season, seemingly to include Hamza Chowdhury. He seemed to like Chowdhury, but gradually moved away from it. It worked when he moved away from it, and for whatever reason, he moved back to a similar thing at the King Power on the weekend. It
just didn't work, because what happened then is that Maddison drifts in field, which is almost like if you can imagine what Coutinho was doing at Liverpool when he was playing on the left. It's that kind of role, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was drifting in to sort of act as the 10 from in the half space, as Rodgers likes to call it. But the problem with that is that whereas you'd think it would help Chilwell, it doesn't actually, does it? Because they're sort of getting in each other's way, and he's taking up the positions where Chilwell would actually quite like to play make, and it doesn't really work.
But what I don't get though is you're up against Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's what I didn't get about it. So if you're playing a left-sided midfielder who's more than inclined to cut in centrally and vacate the left, what happens if Trent gets the ball on the break?
Which he did many times.
Yeah, he did. He's not got that right-sided... he's not got that left-sided Leicester midfielder to come up against. It was a complete free dart forwards up until he finally reached Chilwell on the edge of the box or whatever. But
you would have thought about maybe, I don't know, I'm not an expert on Leicester, but you would have maybe thought about playing Perez.
Yeah, maybe,
because he feels like he can play that sort of defensive forward role. Gray even, Albrighton.
Yeah.
He actually did well when he came on.
He did, yeah. Who did he come on for, do you remember?
I think it was Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, that was it. He played Harvey Barnes on the right, didn't he? But I can't get my head around that one. I'm not exactly certain on what his thinking was. Maybe he's thought, in that area of the pitch, Maddison will be a greater threat than Trent will be.
I think he's probably thought that space, and we'll talk about the Wolves game, that space between Gomez and Trent can still be a little bit of a problem for Liverpool now and then on the back foot. So I think he's probably wanted to flood that area. But Liverpool haven't given them the opportunity, and it's pretty much left Trent one-on-one with Chilwell. It's like, funnily enough, I was walking into the ground, or sort of walking around the ground, and I overheard a couple of Leicester fans discussing, and they were bemoaning the fact that Maddison was on the left.
Yeah,
because he was saying, that looks like it's Maddison on the left. I can't believe he's done this. So it just shows you that it's something that's obviously an issue for Leicester, and one that he's for some reason gone for.
Yeah, it was a really strange ploy, considering you're coming up against a right back who's his team's playmaker. For me, I just didn't get it. I really didn't get it.
I think the other thing as well, when you have a player like that, and we see it with Coutinho, we saw it in a weird way with Milner when he was a left back, but he was ultimately playing that sort of role for Liverpool in 16-17. Their main weapon at that point is that sort of cutting in back onto your right foot and putting in the in swing and cross. But where's Van Dijk?
Yeah,
Alisson Becker. It's not going to work. It's meat and drink for players like Van Dijk and even Gomez, who's getting better in the air. So yeah, I felt it was very much a mistake from Rodgers. I thought maybe he was also worried about the midfield three. If he goes with Tillemans, Ndidi and Maddison, that Liverpool could have outworked them and stifled the threat. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the lineup here. I mean, on the left side of his midfield, he's got Maddison left wing, and then the left-sided central midfielder is Tielemans, and then on the opposite side, he's got Harvey Barnes right wing, and Dennis Pratt on the inside. And I'm just thinking, maybe he had the perception of play all your best players on the left to somehow cause Liverpool's right problems. So Vardy dips over to the left and joins up with Maddison and Tielemans and Chilwell, but it just didn't work out that way. It just, you know.
You look at Leicester's 1-11, its strongest 1-11, and I'd probably include Perez in that, probably.
Yeah,
but you look at it, but you're looking at that and you're going, Harvey Barnes, okay, he's a good young player, but he's nothing to be scared of. You know, you've got Maddison now sort of out of position. You've got Dennis Pratt, who is, for me, hasn't really shown anything other than being a tidy footballer with absolutely zero output.
That was my conclusion of him. When I wrote about him in the summer.
That's so. You know, from when the team, you know, you felt a lot better when you saw the team and how they set up. Well, I still don't think we could have guessed what would have happened in the next 90 minutes. Not just the scoreline, but the show of dominance and control that Liverpool had. Yeah.
No, it was a little bit strange, but you know, fair play. I mean, Liverpool imposed their own game more than Leicester did. But you know, we've just mentioned Trent there. Might as well move on to him. Was that his best performance in red, or
do you think it was unreal? It was just what you saw there was a generational talent.
Yeah, that was my piece this
dictating week. The game from nominatively a right back position, but let's face it, he was ultimately a number 10 if you wanted to call him that. You know, he was stationed out on the right, but he was absolutely everywhere. Wanted to point out, you know, it was a clear ploy by Klopp as well. Henderson passed to him 14 times, Gomez 10, Keita 10, Wijnaldum 7. Every time they got the ball, it was just a case of give us the Trent, he's in space here.
Well, it's that whole free man thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If passed to a free man and progressed through him, and every time Trent was the free man, which is again what I can't get my head around from a Rodgers perspective. Why would you allow that? Why would you allow Trent, of all players, to be the free man? I just didn't get it. Like,
it was an incredible performance. I also think Keita helped him a lot in that sense.
Were you surprised he played?
I was surprised he started because he played 100 minutes in the final, which is obviously a lot more than he's played for a long time. I just felt because of the way they lined up, and again because of the way, as you said, with the better players, if you will, for Leicester on the left, it allowed Keita to pretty much dictate. They kept on going towards him. He was progressing the ball. And therefore it was leaving Trent in bundles and bundles of space. I was really impressed, and I know this is predominantly about Trent, but you know, you look at someone like Keita and he did 7 out of his 8 take-ons successfully, which just shows he was taking players out the game, and then that was leaving Trent in bundles of space.
Keita had 8 dribbles.
8 dribbles, 7 of them successful. Take-ons.
Even that, like a dribble for a central midfielder is quite rare. So to do 8 in a single game, it's again another player who's technically generational. Keita, I mean, he's a weird player. You don't see many players like that who can dribble in central areas and offer loads going forward, loads on the defensive side, and real all round. And Naby Keita. 16
of his passes were in the attacking third, and I'm pretty sure, because he passed to Trent 10 times in that game, pretty sure 10 of those 16 were to Trent, because you look at his pass map and it's all in that area of the pitch. It certainly would have been a vast majority of them. So, you know, everyone gave Trent the platform, and this is what's exciting to me at the moment about someone like Trent. It's clear that Liverpool are one of the best teams in the world, but now they're starting to bring in the individual brilliance, and the fact that Liverpool have always somehow managed to remain as a team, but also give individuals that platform to play. They did it with Salah in the first season that he was here. Obviously, he scores 44 goals. To a degree, they've done it with Mane, Firmino, help with Van Dijk, but now they're starting to give Trent that platform. They're not really, it's not like they're cutting off other players. It's not like, I always thought, you know, you're going back, when it'd be a case of give the ball to Gerrard, who gives the ball to Owen under Houllier. This is going back years. And you'd have almost Emile Heskey and Danny Murphy and all these players completely non-entities because it was just those two.
Exactly. Yeah.
Liverpool are playing through Trent, they're getting Trent on the ball, but you've still got Mohamed Salah, you've still got Roberto Firmino, you've got Sadio Mane who are still doing the things they do. You've got Andy Robertson on the other side. It's just that it's an incredible balance that they managed to strike.
Yeah, well that's it. I was listening to a podcast actually on the way here today, and you know they said that like it's almost for Player of the Year. Say for example you did a Premier League 11, Liverpool would have a shout for every single position. But if you was to do the whole Player of the Year, who's been the best, you wouldn't really know who would it be. But who's Liverpool's best player?
It's why. Well, funny enough, I wrote about this today because Sadio Mane is the favourite for Player of the Year.
Oh, okay.
Trent Alexander-Arnold is favourite for Young Player of the Year.
That's nailed.
I was nailed on. I mean, Rashford's second. I mean, to be fair, Rashford's having a decent season, but it's nailed on that.
Yeah.
However, for me, over the course of the season, I would say it's probably neck and neck between Mane and Trent as Liverpool's best player.
Yeah.
So if Trent's winning the young player, then surely he's got to be on the show for the main player. What I think might happen if the season continues how it is a little bit like 08-09 with Liverpool when Gerrard won it. Even though Man United won the league, because I think there's going to be so many good performances for Liverpool. I think the vote will be split, and I think Kevin De Bruyne might win it. Because I think some will go for Mane, some will go for Salah, some will go for Trent, some will go for Henderson, Van Dijk, Alisson, and eventually others will just go, well, I can't really pick a Liverpool one on their own, so here it is, Kevin De Bruyne. I honestly think that's what might happen.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me. For anyone that wants a little bit more info on Trent, I've been publishing quite a bit of content on this week on my Twitter. If you check @distance covered on Twitter, you'll see a thread. I've done a few data vises on him just to capture how different he is from the average fullback.
Especially Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, especially Wan-Bissaka, yeah. And I posted another 2 today for Europe's top 5 leagues, and even compared to European fullbacks, he's in a different league.
He's the best fullback in the world, isn't he?
On the ball, yeah. Without doubt.
We'll talk about this, I suppose, for the Wolves.
For a team that is a possession-based team, I don't think there's a fullback in the world at the minute right now that you'd pick over Trent for possession-based. Obviously Marcelo's got shouts from years gone by and things, but I'm talking right now. He's unrivaled for me. Joshua Kimmich was the player that showed up for me as probably the closest in terms of what he's doing, but it's again not to the level Trent's doing it. 21 years old, yeah. Scouse. Unbelievable. But we'll move on anyway. In fact, no, just before we move on, one point I did want to make. I found it interesting how Leicester just could not progress into Liverpool's final third. They kept breaking beyond Mane and Salah and Firmino, but then they'd be forced back again, and they couldn't progress forwards. And they played 50 progressive passes at Anfield. So a progressive pass is just a pass that moves the ball considerably forward, basically. They only completed 33 at the King Power, which is fewer than they completed at Anfield, and their joint fewest of the season, level with the Christmas fixture with City at the Etihad. So I just think it was amazing. You mentioned before about patterns of play and things like that. I think Liverpool fully knew everything to expect regarding Leicester. They knew how to stop them moving forwards, and it worked its treat, really.
I thought the most impressive 15 minutes I've seen from Liverpool in a long, long time, and I'll include spurts in Europe, and obviously they've blown away City in Europe in 15 minutes, but it was the 15 minutes just after when the second half started. Because Leicester could not get out, and that's exactly what you're on about there. It was unreal to see. They would get past the front three, and then Keita, Wijnaldum and Henderson just kept on mopping up, and the roar from the crowd, and you could tell at that point Leicester were just clinging on because they were just like, please, can we just please just hang in here? Ironically, they did, and then they fell away at the end. Then
they did hang in, but then they conceded 3 in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
but despite those 3 goals in 7 minutes, I was most impressed with that 46 to 60 minute mark and then I think he brings on Albrighton, and I think he changes slightly. But for that 15 minutes, Liverpool were genuinely relentless.
Yeah, they were. Unbelievable performance, one of the best I've seen, and epitomises exactly what you want from a team. Basically, shoot plenty of times, have lots in attack, and keep your defence quiet. And that was exactly what Liverpool were. So we'll move on to a slightly different game.
Not one of the best games Liverpool have ever played.
No, much tighter. Wolves. So obviously we won the match 1-0, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know, very tight game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it's the type of game where you just get out of dodge with the 3 points by hook or by crook. I think we should probably make a public announcement now. I don't think we need to talk about VAR too much. I think otherwise it'll take up too much. What happened. But it was one of those games where I think Liverpool were fortunate that Wolves had the 24 hours fewer to prepare. I also think if Klopp had the option to do this again, I think he might have made a couple of more changes.
Yeah, I do.
It was interesting. He could have gone down one or two routes. He could have gone down the Everton route, which was change 4 or 5 against a team that probably wouldn't change many. Or he could go down, I remember it in 16-17 when they only had 48 hours in between, when Wijnaldum 1-0 against City on New Year's Eve. Then he went to Sunderland for the 3 o'clock kickoff on the 2nd.
Yeah,
and they only made one change. Yeah. Henderson for Sturridge. I remember it really well. 2-2, yeah. They were absolutely gone by the end of it. It was almost a precursor to the Villa game this season, where it was kind of like Klopp just going, what do you want me to do here? You know what I mean? It's almost like the result was immaterial because he was making a point going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, in a weird way, he sort of had to second guess what Nuno was going to do. Because you were thinking, is Nuno going to do what Klopp did in 16-17 and just go again? Or is he going to make the changes? He made the changes, and on paper it made them visibly weaker.
But they weren't.
Yeah. Which was really, really interesting, because if you look at one of the big things about Wolves last season, I think they had 97%. I mean, this was on Twitter, no verification here, but ultimately I think it was like 97% according to Twitter of players available throughout the season. Basically, they didn't get injuries. They had the same 11 a lot. They were unchanged a lot. I mean, you could name them off now, 1 to 11. Obviously, with the Europa League, they've had to bring in the likes of Vinagre. They've had to bring in
Neto.
They've had to bring in. Then Donker's played a little bit more. Traore is starting a bit more. So, you know, that kind of play. Where they've got to sort of rotate a little bit more, and because you were so used to that 1 to 11 last season, you didn't think these players were necessarily up to the task. Someone like Vinagre, for example, but you know, they stepped in and performed really admirably. They were fresh, and ultimately their game plan, I think, was stick until 60 and then we'll go for it, and that's pretty much what happened. Liverpool at the end needed the full-time whistle. They needed the break, and it's one of those games where yet they had the advantage, Liverpool, because they had the extra 24 hours to prepare. But
I don't think it turned out that way.
No. That's what I think. I think Klopp probably second guessed himself a bit too much, and you know, they got away with it.
I think if we'd have been in Wolves' position, we'd have made plenty more changes and been a lot fresher. But because we had the day on them, we went for virtually unchanged team. Tiredness ended up playing a bit of a part. I mean, we mixed it up as well. We played 4-2-3-1. Lallana played on the right.
I think that was to conserve energy a little bit. I think that was to more maybe keep ball, you know, just sort of a little less run into space and a little bit more, can we not get as much, you know, in our legs as we normally would.
I mean, we do tend to mix it up against Wolves. Last season when we went over there and won 2-0 at Molineux, I think we switched it up then. I remember Keita playing on the left. Might have been a 4-4-2 or something. It
possibly was. It might have been, yeah, I think I remember that. Salah was through the middle, I think so. Again.
But I distinctly remember Keita playing on the left of the midfield. He did the same against Bournemouth a couple of days later, I think. But yeah, so Mo Salah was as the 9. And it didn't work particularly well.
It looked like it would at the start. At the start it looked like it would, but yeah.
I mean, the XG on the day, it was 1.1 for Liverpool and 0.6 for Wolves. Obviously, that would probably be a bit more if the offside had been included. The goal that Neto scored. Obviously, it got disallowed because of a celebration.
That's it now. Like, you just don't. You know what? Just don't start celebrating, lads. I see it in the NFL loads as well. Because they're having a lot of problems at the minute with pass interference. I don't know, if anyone listening or watching follows the NFL, but pass interference, it's a little bit like VAR, where they sort of changed the rules this season and people are really struggling with it. And you just keep on seeing these wide receivers celebrating touchdowns, and obviously in the NFL the celebrations are even more ridiculous. And it's just sort of a flag goes on the field and you go, lads, you're looking really silly. Let's not celebrate till the points are given. But yeah, it was interesting that you touched upon Lallana there. I think Shaqiri was going to play there. I think that was probably the role. I think he probably would have played Lallana in the midfield. If not, I think he probably would have given one of Wijnaldum or
I agree.
Henderson a rest there. But I can see Minamino taking that role.
Yeah,
I think that because he plays on the right for Salzburg a fair bit. It is on the right in a 4-2-3-1, but it's not really. It's kind of a little bit of everywhere.
Interesting to see how Minamino's used, because I think he'll play up until the end of the season at least as a rotation option for literally all of them.
Firmino, Mane, Salah.
Yeah, whichever one needs a break, Minamino will just basically come in and fulfill that role. I think he's very in that mould. Said to you a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? He's in the mould of a Firmino, Wijnaldum type, like a Ditto off Pokemon, wherever you want him to be, he will just mould into that, and he's got a very adaptable skill set, I think. But on the day Wolves' shot count was even. People that listen regularly will know I hate that. It was 10 each on the day, 10 shots each. So you have a goal, we have a goal. Usually Liverpool win those, but you're not keeping everything under your control there. There's an element of it's left to chance, if you like, and I don't like that.
They do this won't surprise anybody because they've got Ruben Neves in the team, but they do like a pop outside the box, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They would really frustrate me as a Wolves fan because they're creating some really decent openings, sort of 25 yards out from goal, and they just can't seem to resist taking a pop. And against the goalkeeper who doesn't concede goals from outside the area, it just felt,
50% of their shots by the looks of it. Or in fact, no, 60% of their shots, I think, were outside the box. Only 4 from inside, by the looks of it. And
2 of those were out wide, weren't they? I think that 2 inside. There was one where Vinagre slices over. But yeah, it was one of those. I was actually quite surprised by 0.6 because it felt to me that Liverpool probably restricted them to even fewer shots. But I suppose it's the volume there where it just sort of... Ultimately, that's only 0.06 per shot, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is on that, I think that's important to note, because a lot of people will have said, Liverpool were lucky and things like that, and we were under the caution things. But as I said before, I think I've learned what's of value in a match, and I've learned what is actually dangerous, and that is not dangerous. That's not. If you take that every game, okay, they have a bit of pressure on us, and okay, the bit of territory in our final third and things like that. But at no point was it really being translated into constant shots. They had a moment where they had 2 shots from outside the box in about 2 minutes. Both of them flew over the bar. You've got to beat Alisson from that distance, by the way.
Yeah.
And I just don't think... Sometimes I just think, when it's being painted as Liverpool were a bit messy, or Liverpool were under the cosh, or the other team were a bit dangerous, I always look at the shots and the shots on target and the locations of them, and I just don't think we would ever really threaten that much. I said, but Dave, the other week, any periods that Liverpool have that are bad, where we can't make the ball stick, the ball's flying everywhere or whatever, during those periods, they just seem to be phases that we get through. And those phases never usually involve Liverpool facing shots on target that are dangerous in dangerous areas. There just seem to be little phases that the ball's a bit messy, we just need to get through it. And that's it.
Yeah, no sustained pressure in that sense. Sustained territorial pressure maybe, but Wolves are a very, I think this was shown in the game, but Wolves, they really use the wide area as well. They overload, and I know, I hate the cliche of pace and power, but they're a physical team. I
must say they are a good team.
They're a very good team.
Impressed with them.
But what that does is sort of plays into what you're saying there, is that, they get into those wide areas, but then what? Yeah. So they might slash a shot into the side netting. They might throw up a ball. They probably missed Jimenez a couple of times in before he came on. But you throw up a ball to Van Dijk. It's ultimately, even the one shot where Alisson was called into action. It's a good save, but if he doesn't save it, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You're not happy with Alisson for not saving it, and it's from out wide again. So it's interesting how Wolves set up because, look at the goal, for example, that wins it. Not wins it, sorry, for equalises against City. It comes from that aggression and that sort of relentlessness in a wider position where Traore takes it off Mendy. They just didn't get an opportunity to do that for Liverpool, and Liverpool are good at doing that and keeping them at arm's length.
Yeah.
I was, I thought Trent and Robertson probably looked as tired as they have all season, but that doesn't surprise me given how Wolves ultimately attack, because they are very much down your throat. It wouldn't even surprise me if, because they are very sort of wing focused and because they like to overload, it wouldn't surprise me if that's why Van Dijk sort of had that little lapse of concentration, because I think he was finding it pretty easy for the game, to be honest. And then all of a sudden, they lull him into that false sense of security. I was surprised both of them started, to be honest.
I think Van Dijk will have wanted the challenge of Traore, mate. And I think when he started on the bench, I think it will have been a bit, I wanted that challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Van Dijk's the types of relish that sort of thing.
Well, there was that clip doing the rounds beforehand, wasn't there, from Molineux, where he beat him in a foot race.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Traore, out of interest?
I think he's really, really good. I think he's ridiculous, to be honest. As a tactical weapon for a manager, I think he's a dream. And I think he's only very, very recently actually learned how to apply his ridiculous skill set in a useful way on the pitch. But I think up until recently, he's had all his potential qualities, speed, dribbling ability, but not had a clue of how to use it. And I think, I think Pulis said a while back, he's a really talented lad, good kid, but he needs a lot of coaching.
But this is the difference, isn't it? Ultimately, Pulis also, he needs a lot of coaching. I'm not the man to do it. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
But he's still 23, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had. So where was he before? So he had Pulis.
Villa.
He was. Did he have a Villa? Was it Remy Gard? Maybe someone else.
I'm not sure it was a Villa.
Tim Sherwood. I don't know. Now he's got Nuno, who for me is a very, very good coach, and that's all that. You think of so many players sometimes. What would they be if they had a better coach?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you're seeing with someone like Adama Traore now is, you've got somebody who can harness all of his excellent attributes into a footballer. I think a lot of people, myself included, it's almost the reverse for me, in terms of, I think he was so overrated, Traore, that he became underrated, and I think that's everybody was really reluctant to say about Traore, he's a good footballer, because people thought that if you say he's a good footballer, you're just judging him because he's quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now he actually is a good footballer, and he's an interesting one. I could see him playing right back for Klopp.
Yeah. I think recently he's taken on this mantle whereby you can tell these players that they know they're the best in their own team, and when they assume possession, it's like, I can't just pass the ball sideways, I've got to do something here, and I've got a level of authority over the ball. And lately, I've just seen that with Traore. He's getting that belief where, like, I am a really, really good player, and I know how to I know how to win games.
Did against City and tries to do against us.
Yeah,
and does not skip a leg day.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how he develops further from this, because he's a really interesting player that is rare. I mean, he's unheard of, really.
I think he needs to dial it back a little bit now. I remember when Klopp came in and he said about Joe Gomez, and he said he spent too much time in the gym. Yeah, and one of the big things is that he sort of made Gomez sort of put muscles in the right places. You just wonder at what point does...
No, I've seen quotes of him saying he doesn't lift. It's just completely natural, if you like, and it's hard to believe. But one further point on Wolves that I'd like to make before we move on is the only goal of the game came from a ball over the top, which we flagged last week. I stated that Wolves conceded a couple of weeks ago to Brighton. I was watching the game. Neil Maupay, ball over the top, goal, simple as that. Liverpool obviously do it quite a lot, and we scored the opening goal from that. So it's a really basic weapon, but it seems to be working this season. We've scored quite a few like that now. The perks of having central defenders that can pick out players like Van Dijk can.
You obviously got Henderson in the deeper position.
Yeah, Henderson's done it a couple of times, yeah. But we'll move on anyway, because we're cut for time this week. Diego
It's fully booked, this room, isn't it?
It is. The podcast room is fully booked today.
If you're not happy about having your bumper Christmas edition, normally there's Christmas specials and things like that on BBC, isn't there? If you're not happy, blame the View from the Gladys Street podcast, which is an Evertonian podcast.
Yeah.
They're all giddy about Carlo Ancelotti, so we've been cut for time this week.
Yeah, but Sheffield United anyway. For me, probably the side that I've least enjoyed watching Liverpool face this season. I think we found it very difficult against them. Very aggressive team, in your face, will not let you play forwards, and if you do play forwards, they'll be on your toes, forcing you backwards immediately. And
feels a bit like Wolves.
Yeah, but they're like Wolves, but I just feel a bit more, and this is a compliment, a bit more English, if you know what I mean. Really, really aggressive, tight to your man. Horrible team to face. Yeah. Just basically, do you know what I mean?
Well, that's Manchester City.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they won the XG.
Yeah,
at the Etihad.
Well, I've got it as a draw actually on the one we use, but they're the only team all season in the Premier League to keep Man City below 1 XG in a game. So this was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, City faced Sheffield United, obviously, and created an XG total of 0.9. Sheffield United was also 0.9 on the day, based on what I've seen. I know some other providers have got us more than that, but that takes some doing, especially at the Etihad, and I think it epitomises how defensively drilled this team is, how organised they are, the spacing between each player. Just a really, really great team, I think, this Sheffield United side. It's
a great story, and it really feels like you've had these sorts of stories before, haven't you? This is before analytics really rose, but you remember sort of a team like Hull, for example, when they came up and they were riding high in 5th or 6th, and you think back and you think, well, yeah, but they beat Arsenal with like 2 40-yarders from Giovanni, and they beat this team because of an own goal. Now, this Sheffield United team are the real deal in terms of they deserve to maybe not be as high as they are, but they are comfortably top half. They are tactically astute. They are very good defensively. The only thing against them at the moment maybe is that they lack a little bit up front, but that might be a byproduct of the game. I think that Lys Mousset might actually be a really good player. He's still only very young.
The thing is, when you see they lack a bit up front, they've got 4 totally different strikers that
I was going to bring
just mix it up whenever he wants.
Yeah. Well, basically, McBurney and McGoldrick were given the night off against City, and they played Mousset and Callum Robinson.
They've got 5 then, because
they've got Leon Clark as well, haven't they?
No, I'm thinking of the captain, Billy Sharp.
Oh, Billy Sharp as well. So they got 6.
6
because he obviously could have scored off the bench as well last night. So yeah, it makes it hard to sort of know exactly what to expect. On the strikers, I don't know if you know this. I was having a little look at them because I think everybody knows now about the overlapping fullbacks with centre backs with Sheffield United. Everyone knows about Lundstrom and Fleck and Norwood, but not many people know about the front two. McGoldrick, how many goals he scored this season?
He scored none.
What's his XG?
It'll be reasonable, I know that, because he's underperforming considerably, especially the open goal from the other week. Go on.
Over 7.
Is it over 7? Yeah, Jesus.
I can't remember
that's Benteke level.
I can't remember an underperformance like that in my life.
No, that's Kristian Benteke comes to mind. As I say, I can't think of many others beyond Kristian Benteke.
How can you at this stage of the season as well? Bear in mind, halfway through the season, he should essentially have 7 in 19.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Up front for Sheffield United, he's got 0. I mean, do you think that's just is that because he's just a bad finisher, or is it just a bad run of luck?
No, I don't think he's a bad finisher. I don't know what it is. I saw last week he missed an open goal. But I don't know.
That's probably one.
Yeah, you do get to a point where you start questioning yourself and you start dawdling and things like that. But
no, but
the front two, whatever front two partnership it is, whatever front two pairing it is, they always work well off each other.
He's got that McBurney as well. I remember he played against Liverpool for Swansea on Boxing Day years ago when he was a kid, and he was like a rabbit in the headlights. Can you have a rabbit in the headlights? Deer in headlights?
I think you can go with both.
Rabbit seems more vulnerable. he was a rabbit in the headlights. Yeah. But he's becoming a decent Premier League player.
Yeah, but the strikers they always work off each other well. Whenever a long ball gets played forward, one seems to drop back, one seems to go forward. It's just that standard traditional centre forward play, 2 up top sort of thing. They've got a mid-table attack based on the numbers, but their XG per shot is up there with joint best, I think. Joint best with City and Southampton. So they don't shoot a great deal, but whenever they do, the opportunities tend to be a bit more clear-cut than normal. And defensively, they've got about the 6th best defence according to XG, but they've actually conceded only 19, which places them as the 2nd best defence along with Leicester. Liverpool on their own now, with having conceded only 14. So Liverpool got the best defence in the league now by about 5.
Remember the arguments about the defence not being what it was?
Yeah. I knew it'd turn round, I had faith it'd turn round.
High lines and all that.
Yeah, but I do envisage this one being a tricky one. I think the Anfield, small pitch, back 5, really, really well drilled, really difficult to play through and to play forwards through. So I think this is going to be tough.
I do. I think the only thing, well, I mean, there's a lot of things Liverpool's favour in, other than the fact that they're obviously one of the best teams in the world, but I think something in Liverpool's favour is when's the last time Sheffield United played 4 games of this quality in 12 days.
Yeah.
I think, we're looking at the rotation of the front 2, well, of the 4 or the 5 who can play front 2. But they haven't really done much around that. So the centre-backs are all playing the same. The midfield's pretty much, I think Lundstram missed through injury yesterday. And Besic came in. Mo Besic used to play for Everton. So it's just one of those where is this going to be one game too far for them because of the way they play? They're actually quite smart with the pressing, it feels like. They're not.
But that's what I mean. Whenever the pass goes forward, then they press and they force you backwards and then keep the shape again. That's how they do it.
It negates the long ball a lot for Liverpool. Although Liverpool should have scored against
that maybe you want to watch
the Mane. You would think it negates them, but we'll see. I think from a Liverpool perspective as well, they've got to seriously think about, because again, a lot of the players there look very, very tired towards the end of the game. And what's this? 1, 2, 3. The extra day will help.
Yeah.
4 days, so the extra day will help. But I think you can expect to see Milner in there. I think you can probably expect to see Keita come back in. It's a shame that the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain, Fabinho aren't around, because that midfield probably does need a freshen up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Origi for maybe Firmino. But I think Klopp will probably have to gamble a little less this time in terms of, I think he'll just be confident in his own predictions and his own sort of selection and not really worry too much about what Sheffield United have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one to predict, because obviously we have no real insights regarding fatigue and who's going to be rotated, who's going to be rested and things like that. But, if most things go as expected, verdict, what do you think? Prediction?
I actually think, I don't think Liverpool can win forever. And I don't think that's I think that's absolutely fine. I think this might be a 0-0 or a 1-1. I think it might just be, I think they're just starting to look a little bit leggy. I think you can't dismiss the fact that they were in Qatar a week ago. And I just think Sheffield United can frustrate them. 9 times out of 10, I'd say Liverpool win this game of football. 8 or 9, I'd say. That's probably a bit too high. Probably 7 or 8 times out of 10. But I just feel like Liverpool, and this isn't, I just feel like the time has come for maybe Liverpool not to have a game where they dominate the XG and don't necessarily win.
Yeah.
It's a lot of averages. I don't believe in that, because this is an analytical podcast, but I just feel like this might be the game where they drop a couple of points.
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from. I think I'm gonna go for 1-0. I do think it'll be tight. I do think it'll be tricky. You're gonna have to be patient, be careful with the mistakes that you make, if you're gonna make any at all. But I do think it'll be, a 1-0, a close match like that. But we'll have to round up anyway. We are cut for time this week, so thanks for tuning in, Chris. Thanks for coming back.
No, thanks for having me. Hopefully 2020 I'll be back a little bit more, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm assuming the next one will involve Dave. I mean, I'm not entirely certain on that, but we'll see anyway. But thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.